You might think caffeine simply wakes you up, but its influence extends far beyond alertness. Inside your brain, caffeine blocks adenosine receptors. Adenosine is a byproduct of cellular activity, building up with each waking hour. This accumulation signals your brain that it's time to sleep. Typically reaching peak levels in 12 to 16 hours, adenosine's effect is profound. Caffeine, however, masks this mechanism by inhibiting those receptors. Thus, your brain remains unaware of its actual fatigue state, essentially tricked. This blockage doesn't stop adenosine production. It merely delays your sleep pressure, resulting in increased levels once caffeine wears off, often leading to a crash. Caffeine's half-life, the time it takes to reduce by half in your body, is approximately 5 to 6 hours. Consuming caffeine in the afternoon means it can still affect your system well into the night. This half-life varies based on genetics and even liver enzyme efficiency. You might metabolize caffeine differently than your friend, but the blockade of adenosine is universal. Sleep latency, the time it takes to fall asleep, increases by 50% after afternoon caffeine consumption. As your natural adenosine levels rise, your brain is caught in a tug-of-war between artificial alertness and mounting sleep pressure. Contrary to popular belief, caffeine doesn't provide energy. It merely alters perception. The alertness you feel is due to the suppression of fatigue signals. Caffeine consumption doesn't affect the energy-producing mitochondria within your cells. Instead, it modulates the central nervous system, increasing dopamine signaling, which can improve mood temporarily. However, this alteration doesn't replenish energy stores. It only masks exhaustion. With repeated use, your brain adjusts, potentially leading to increased consumption to achieve the same perceived alertness. This cycle can result in dependency, with diminishing returns on wakefulness and increased sensitivity to adenosine once caffeine clears. Your body's response to caffeine involves a complex interplay of neurotransmitters. While blocking adenosine, caffeine simultaneously boosts dopamine release, enhancing mood and focus. This is why caffeine is often associated with improved cognitive performance. Yet, the boost is temporary. As adenosine continues to accumulate underneath, your brain's eventual response can be more intense fatigue. This secondary wave of tiredness is not a result of caffeine withdrawal, but rather the unmasking of accumulated sleep pressure. Consequently, reliance on caffeine can inadvertently amplify your perception of exhaustion once its effects diminish. The sleep cycle is delicately balanced by your circadian rhythm, regulated by light exposure and melatonin production. Caffeine disrupts this balance by delaying melatonin secretion. Consuming caffeine 6 hours before bedtime can reduce total sleep time by an hour, as confirmed by a 2013 study published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine. Melatonin, the hormone of darkness, signals your brain to prepare for sleep, but its suppression by caffeine alters your internal clock. This disruption can lead to a misalignment between your circadian rhythm and actual sleep needs. Your sleep architecture, especially deep sleep stages, can be compromised, affecting memory consolidation and physical restoration. Caffeine's interaction with adenosine is a classic receptor antagonism. Adenosine binds to its receptors in the brain, promoting sleepiness by inhibiting neural activity. Caffeine competes with adenosine, binding to the same receptors but without triggering the sleep-inducing effect. This blockade prevents adenosine from exerting its calming influence, keeping neurons firing. Over time, regular caffeine intake can lead to an increase in adenosine receptors, a process called receptor upregulation. Your brain compensates for the constant blockade by making more receptors, which may enhance sensitivity to adenosine and increase the perceived need for caffeine to stay alert. The glymphatic system, a waste clearance pathway in the brain, operates predominantly during sleep. This system removes metabolic waste products, including amyloid beta, which are implicated in neurodegenerative diseases. Caffeine can alter sleep architecture, affecting the duration and quality of deep sleep. A reduction in deep sleep decreases the efficiency of glymphatic clearance, potentially allowing toxic waste to accumulate. While caffeine doesn't directly impact the glymphatic system, its effect on sleep continuity indirectly influences waste removal, suggesting a potential link between disrupted sleep and long-term brain health issues. Caffeine influences the circadian oscillator genes, which regulate your internal clock. Clock and BMAL1 genes are central to maintaining circadian rhythm. Caffeine intake can alter the expression of these genes, leading to phase shifts in your sleep-wake cycle. A 2015 study published in Science Translational Medicine demonstrated that caffeine consumed 3 hours before normal bedtime delayed melatonin production by about 40 minutes. This genetic modulation shifts your perception of night and day, potentially desynchronizing your sleep pattern from natural light-dark cycles, impacting not just sleep, but overall metabolic function. The cortisol awakening response is a natural surge in cortisol levels occurring shortly after waking. It helps mobilize energy and alertness to start the day. Caffeine can mimic this response, temporarily elevating cortisol levels. However, this elevation is not confined to the morning. Consuming caffeine later in the day can prolong elevated cortisol levels, contributing to stress and disrupting the natural cortisol cycle. Chronic elevation can reduce sensitivity to cortisol, potentially affecting stress response and metabolism over time. This altered hormonal landscape underscores caffeine's profound impact beyond just sleep. REM-stage sleep is crucial for memory consolidation, a process vulnerable to caffeine. During REM, the brain reorganizes synaptic connections, reinforcing learning and memory. Caffeine's interference with sleep architecture can reduce REM duration, impacting this critical cognitive process. A 2009 study by the Sleep Research Society found that caffeine reduced REM sleep by up to 20%. This reduction can impair memory consolidation, affecting tasks that rely on associative learning and problem-solving. Thus, caffeine's disruption of REM sleep extends its influence into waking cognitive performance, linking your morning coffee to your memory function. Chronic sleep debt accumulates when insufficient sleep becomes habitual, distinct from acute sleep deprivation. Caffeine can mask the effects of both, leading you to underestimate your need for rest. Polysomnography, the gold standard for sleep studies, reveals that even with caffeine, brain wave patterns indicative of sleep deprivation persist. Unlike tracking apps that estimate sleep stages based on movement, polysomnography measures electrical activity, showing true sleep depth. A 2018 study in Sleep Medicine Reviews found that caffeine users often misjudge their sleep quality, perpetuating a cycle of reliance without addressing the underlying deficit. The wellness industry often promotes caffeine as a harmless stimulant, neglecting its complex interaction with sleep physiology. Peer-reviewed literature tells a different story. Long-term caffeine use can lead to a phenomenon known as adenosine receptor supersensitivity. This condition increases adenosine signaling, leading to heightened fatigue once caffeine's effects diminish. A 2020 study in the Journal of Psychopharmacology links excessive caffeine intake with increased daytime sleepiness when abstaining. The industry's simplified narrative overlooks these nuanced physiological adaptations, prompting reconsideration of caffeine's role in daily routines. Caffeine withdrawal can have profound effects, often labeled as a caffeine crash. Symptoms include headaches, irritability, and fatigue, peaking 12 to 24 hours after last intake. Neurochemical changes underpin these withdrawals. Dopamine and serotonin levels, previously elevated by caffeine, drop sharply. This reduction can lead to mood disturbances, challenging the perception of caffeine as merely a facilitator of alertness. A 2017 meta-analysis in the Journal of Caffeine Research found withdrawal symptoms in 50% of users, underscoring caffeine's potent biological influence. Understanding withdrawal's neurochemical basis offers insight into caffeine's pervasive grip on brain chemistry. Caffeine's interaction with the orexin-hypocretin system highlights its role in wakefulness. Orexin neurons, located in the hypothalamus, regulate arousal and appetite. Caffeine enhances orexin signaling, contributing to increased alertness and potentially influencing appetite regulation. Disruption of this system has been linked to disorders like narcolepsy. The interplay between caffeine and orexin underscores caffeine's comprehensive impact on neurophysiology, extending beyond simple wakefulness. Orexin's role in maintaining wakefulness ties caffeine consumption directly to the brain's fundamental arousal systems, affecting everything from energy balance to sleep drive. A 2021 study from the University of Colorado Boulder examined caffeine's long-term cognitive effects. The research revealed that regular caffeine intake could lead to a 10% reduction in gray matter volume in the brain's frontal lobe. This structural change was reversible with abstinence, suggesting caffeine's impact may not be permanent. However, the study highlights the need for awareness of caffeine's potential influence on brain structure. Rather than offering advice, these findings prompt a reevaluation of caffeine's role and suggest a deeper biological narrative than often considered. Such insights challenge assumptions about caffeine's benign nature.